All right, 10th time is the charm? I don't know. Hi, I'm Jamie. I read a ton of books. It is the beginning of January 2025. We've had one day so far. Um, and already I'm slightly behind in my reading goals. Oh no. But only because I set my Goodreads goal at 400, because if it's anything like last year, I might as well. Um, I've finished one book so far in 2025. I finished Orbital by Samantha Harvey. I think that's her name. Um, which I did not categorize in sci-fi. I categorized it as literary fiction because none of the technology, none of the science in that book is future or alternate. We have the International Space Station. We have astronauts. They go to space, they stay there for months, they come back. None of that is sci-fi. And the story is really a lot more about the psychological experience of being, in a capsule orbiting the planet with a few other people for months with no breaks from each other besides just being in different sides of the capsule or something. And you don't get to just go home when you decide you don't want to anymore. If you needed to go back to the planet, you'd have to take someone with you because you can't travel just one person to a capsule. And so you would be, costing somebody else their time and space if you decided you needed to go home. So it's an interesting scenario to think about, like what it would be like to be an astronaut. And I liked it. They're watching storms developing on Earth, and even though they have friends and family that are affected by things that they're watching, they themselves, for the time that they're in that capsule, are so far removed that it's just patterns. And so it's an interesting book, interesting things to think about. Not very long. I don't know if I would have awarded it as highly as it's been, but it won the Man Booker Prize, I believe. Yeah. So it's been recognized as a particularly good book. It was good. Maybe not the best book that I've read for the year, and there were other books that I would have probably put in first, but I don't know what else was nominated besides the ones that ended up on the long list. So, yeah. So I started The Ghost Orchid by Jonathan Kellerman, also an audio, because I'm focusing on Jonathan Kellerman as one of my things for January. That was from my 12 kind of well-known and prolific authors that we have tons of their books at the bookstore. So this one is just an audiobook from the library that doesn't penalize me anything for checking out more library books. So I might as well. And then I also started The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This one's for a buddy read, and we don't really have the threads set up yet, so it's early days. But I got started, and I will probably restart it and listen to it again because, of course, as soon as you decide to buddy read a book, where the heck did I put that book? I have no idea. I spent actually all of tonight looking for another book that I'm supposed to be reading this year, that I will be starting this week. For the Reading 1001 Goodreads group, the annual read that everybody is reading together, more or less, is The Tale of Genji, which is very fat. And I will probably finish it way ahead of the schedule that the discussion questions are going to be provided for. But I am going to pace it out a little bit, read a bit each month until I get bored with that and finish the book. So it's going to start in January. I will not finish it in January, almost guaranteed. Another book from a project. Now that I'm talking on the video, Katarina's going to show up. Hi, Katarina. So, Lives of the Monster Dogs by Kirsten Bacchus, which is supposed to be science fiction, I believe. This is my sister's book. For January, I assigned my sister to give me a list of 10 books that I've not read that she wants me to read in January. And they had to be books that I could get a hold of so that I could actually read them in January. So we talked through a bunch of options and came up with a list. Some of them I don't have in print yet. So some of them I'll be watching for at the bookstore, but I can probably get them. So the list is The Famished Road by Ben Okri, Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, Home by Marilyn Robinson, Paula by Isabel Allende, Lives of the Monster Dogs by Kirsten Bacchus, The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova, Frenchman's Creek by Daphne du Maurier, A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest Gaines, Last Night in Twisted River by John Irving, and Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. So that list of 10 books is on my TBR for January, and unless I can't get a hold of them in January, I will be reading them in January. The only one that I may not be able to get in time would be the first one, The Famished Road. I could have sworn we had a copy at our bookstore, but when I went looking for it, we must have sold it already. So, but, yeah, I may have to read it later in the year. It's on the TBR. I'll read it when I find it. But most of them I either had already, or again, Far from the Madding Crowd. I think I have a print copy, and I can probably find a LibriVox recording I can listen to. I found Home at the bookstore and was able to get it as one of my free books for my 6-hour increment of volunteering. So I do have that one. So actually Home and The Monster Dogs are on my TBR for this week. Also on my TBR, I included a few of the arcs and galleys and giveaway books that I haven't finished yet. So this is one of them, The Middleman by Olin Steinhauer. I know very little about it. I read the first 3 pages a while back when I was trying to get myself into reading some of these that have been lingering, and it didn't work very well, so yeah. So it's on my TBR this week. I might finish it. I don't know if it'll work for any of the prompts for TBR-a-thon, but it probably will for something. So I'm just going to read it and see where I can stuff it in. For TBR-a-thon in particular, some of the books that I've pulled, for a book that I've been anticipating for a while, I don't remember if this is for the map or for the game board, but The Human Factor by Graham Greene is what I picked for that prompt. For a book in a subgenre of your favorite genre, I picked The Secret Ways by Alistair MacLean, which is a spy thriller adventure, kind of the pulpy sort of branch of that. Oh my goodness, she's got her toy and everything. Are you bored? You is. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Hold on. We'll play. For a book with an odd number of pages, Anthony Berkeley, Death in the House. Oh my goodness. You are cute. So I will probably find other prompts for the rest of these as well. I'm doing as much as I can of all three of the TBR-a-thon games. But I'm focusing on the map and the game board to begin with. So this next one is not in particular for anything, although it is over 400 pages long, and I think I did end up with that as one of my next squares on the game board. But this one's more for Historathon. A history of private life from pagan Rome to Byzantium. Because it's an awkward shaped book, it does not play well with others. So I'm going to read it, and unless it's really absolutely amazing where I have to keep it, once I finish reading it, it can go away. And then I don't have to worry about the fact that it does not fit with any of my other books. I have Home by Marilyn Robinson for part of that project reading my sister's 10-book list. Home is also on the 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list, so that's more than one reason to read it. And this is another book I got as a Goodreads giveaway that I need to get to it. This is Kjell Eriksson, The Night of the Fire. It is also translated. And I did notice that one of the next prompts on, I think, the map, but one of the next prompts I need to read is a translated book. So that is translated from the Swedish. And then I have the book for extra points for the TBR takedown game in Reading 1001 on Goodreads. The game that provides the random number that I also use for the other game that I talked about in the previous video. The book that was selected this time was book number 4. And on the TBR takedown list that I made, number 4 was Borges, Ficciones. And I'm pretty sure that's what this is. They've translated it as collected fictions instead of writing it out as ficciones. But I think that's what this collection is. I've also been told by people that have read both that they're practically the same. That almost the same stories are in both collections, Labyrinths and Ficciones. So I wonder exactly how that maps out, like what makes this one different from Labyrinths, which I read a couple years ago. So I will eventually look that up just out of curiosity, but I own this one and I've had it for like 12, 15 years. It is time to read it. So whether it's duplicating what I read a couple years ago in Labyrinths or not, I just need to read it. And then, as I showed in my 48 books video, I will be reading The Man Who Loved Only Numbers by Paul Hoffman, and Half the Sky by Nicholas Kristoff and Cheryl Woodon. So I'm starting these hopefully this week. And that will be my first week's TBR. This is a TBR, not a assigned reading I must finish in 1 week sort of thing. And obviously not all of them I expect to read and finish this week. But it's a fair number of books. So expect at least some of these to be in the books I finish at the end of the week video. Hopefully my throat will be less scratchy by then. But I did take, of all things, an antihistamine, and it seems to be helping. because this is like the 10th or 12th take of this video. And I made it this far without falling into a hacking cough that I couldn't stop without stopping the video. Amazing. So I think I buy the theory that if the mucus goes away, the cough starts going away. I'm hoping that works. Anyway, this is going to be what I'm reading. I do have a few other audiobooks as well. That was exciting. So there will be some books that are not here in print that will still be part of what I finished in the week. And I'm doing a new project this year. Instead of collecting a wine glass and getting a bottle of wine every week for Nell's Wine Down Wednesday sprints, which is what I did all last year. I did 52 glasses and 52 bottles of wine. This time I'm doing boxes of tea and using a different mug every Wednesday. So I can work through the ones I've got. I did that with my wine glasses as well. I used my wine glasses and then added to them. So I'm going to do that with the mugs as well. We've got a lot of mugs. Some of them we don't use, and I'm not really sure if it's just we have too many or maybe they're not comfortable. Because the one I used this week is my favorite mug. It's big. It's actually kind of heavy, but the handle is just right so that I don't feel like I'm going to drop the mug, even though it's heavy, and I don't feel like the handle is going to pop off. So one of the advantages to doing this game with the mugs is I can try out all our mugs and find out from experience whether the reason we don't use it is because when you put boiling hot tea or coffee into it, you're afraid you're going to burn yourself trying to drink out of it because it's not really very practical. We'll find out. I'm probably not going to do a lot of teacups, like the ones that come with their own little matching saucers. I think that's a separate game. It's going to be mugs. Things that are practical enough that you could actually microwave them without killing your microwave. So not gilded, no crystal. Things that are made for drinking hot beverages where you're not really worried about the cup's survival in the experience. So the tea I ended up using this time was a Private Selections English Rose black tea from King Soopers from our grocery store, or one of our grocery stores. Not all gone yet. But this stuff is amazing. It is a grocery store cheap tea, as in, way cheaper than the name brand teas. But the name brand teas don't do this flavor, and it really smells and tastes like what you'd expect for rose garden turned into a tea. I don't know. I have never really expected my roses to turn into tea, but if they did, and if it was good, it would taste like this stuff. Anyway, so that was this week. So this mug, this tea, and I will probably still be using the teas that I already have and the mugs that I already have for a little bit. But if I find teas that I don't have yet, or mugs that I would like, this is the year for that. You can see the shape of the handle. It is a big mug. Holds enough tea that I don't have to worry about refilling my glass all the time. One tea bag is about right to get, total steeping, get all the flavor out. It's great. Anyway, I'm waffling on about tea and tea bags. So, So, the next video will be the what I read in the last segment of 2024 so that I can send the books on their way. And then we will be solidly in 2025. Hope you guys have had a great reading year so far in the last 24 hours of our first day of the year. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.